Welcome into the show, Joe Lawler. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me back.
Anytime. Wait, so we did an about face. I had him on talking about actors who decided to channel their ego and become singers, and was like, let's do an about face, because there's so many who we thought the other way around. Like I thought, I didn't know J-Lo was an actress before a singer.
Oh yeah.
The other way around. It's like, and it's just so funny here how there's a lot of these other music artists, and we already talked to Ice-T, and just like what a great band Body Count is.
Mm-hmm.
A metal and a rap band, and how he kind of just went the way of some lesser talked about rappers who was just like, he just had charisma, and he was able to kind of be himself and then get even more comfortable and sometimes deliver a hard role. Is like, wow, I didn't know he could do that. I thought, he was going to be kind of like Ice Cube, where I'm Ice Cube in everything.
Yeah,
I can do comedy and it works, and there's other times where it doesn't work, but because I'm playing Ice Cube.
Well, I was thinking about like just what, because as I was researching for this, I felt like I was finding way more
people we didn't even realize were acting.
Yeah,
like, kind of just did it for fun, like freaking Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones. He kind of just did that for fun.
Yeah, like because he was someone I thought about, like, because there's like a certain amount of like charisma that you need as a rock star that I think translates better to like film than
Alice Cooper, for instance. He's never taken a Screen Actors Guild test, but he every once in a while was able to pick someone's brain and say, I'll be a weirdo, I'll be at a party, I'll be a demon, I'll be this, and that just works. For whatever reason, it's very cinematic, whatever I'm doing, whether it's playing Freddy's dad in one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, or being in some other goofy movie where I'm playing a rock star that's definitely inspired by me, and they just didn't want to use my name. And it. So my research for this was watching all 6 seasons of Highlander. And what does that mean? What it means is what's his name? It was like the lead singer for Fine Young Cannibals. Good actor.
Yeah. Jeez, I forgot that.
He's on there. I'll come up with his name here shortly. Vanity's on there, and I forgot that she did a lot of acting outside of just whatever Prince was doing.
Yeah.
Roger Daltrey, of all people, is from The Who, is a recurring hero in there, and they killed him off, and they loved him so much, so they're just like, let's do flashbacks with his character. And it's just so funny is I said that to other people, and they're like, yeah, you didn't know that? I mean, I'm like, obviously, like everyone in college, I saw any movie with a rock star that was just weird, and so obviously I saw Tommy, and I was like, no, he's done so many other movies where he's often played a gangster or a businessman, and I'm like, interesting, okay, cool.
I remember he did some like Roger Corman stuff in the 90s, like some of his
Vampirella,
like made for TV. Yeah.
That's so fun fact. Jim Wynorski said it in like a podcast interview I heard like 3 years ago. He was like, Corman, was still going by, even in the VHS DVD days, he was going by the whole, 80-minute rule. And technically the movie is like 102, and it's like, what did you change? It's like, Roger Daltrey decided to improvise a song one day, and I put it back in when it came to DVD. I was doing the commentary track. He didn't notice.
Every once in a while, even Corman will break his own rules, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's so wild how Wynorski will even do some random like he would film at his wife's Corman's wife's like studio, or ask her permission and film behind her back. I'm like, that's so wild. So it's like, you're filming a movie for the dude and you don't have the right to use his studio. That's just so wild. And I don't even know how anyone gets away with filming something without a permit. I mean, you can do it obviously, because now you can do it on your phone or whatever. And just
yeah.
But there are other ones where it's just like, you did it at that studio. Wow.
So I was thinking, like,
it can be anyone, just any kind of music artist. Like,
all right. So I'll go, kind of like the big gun, and like he made a lot of movies. But I just want to talk about reference. Elvis
Presley.
I mean, probably like the prototype for rock star becoming an actor. But like, I mean, he made a lot of crappy movies, but his very first movie, Love Me Tender, he wasn't the lead, and but like once he hit it big, they like amped up him in the marketing, and they changed the title to an Elvis song.
He was like the precursor to the just the artist who you basically, you just you wait on those movies, and then when his star rises, then you release them.
Yes. Yep. It's like any minute now, and then bam, like so it
But that's a good point, because it's like you would see him sometimes mentioned in like the same breath as someone like Bob Hope or something. It's like he does have a cinematic look, and he just couldn't get past just his personal troubles and his awful manager. And I'm actually looking forward to that upcoming movie where Tom Hanks is actually going to play his manager, because
I'm really
Tom Hanks playing
the previews for that look good.
It's just I didn't even know there was previews. Nice, I was.
I've seen at least one.
So it's just like everyone tried with it once in a while, and it's just what's funny is so I'll give you a funny story. My father did not care for Frank Sinatra as a actor, but even he is like, sometimes the magic works. He's really damn good in The Manchurian Candidate. I don't know why it works. It's just a head scratch.
I'd say like From Here to Eternity is another good Sinatra. I mean, like he had lots of the kind of Rat Pack films that just aren't really memorable.
And it helped that they were playing off of each other. So
yeah.
So wild.
Let's see. Trying to for like modern actors, I mean, like Justin Timberlake and Lady Gaga are kind of the two big examples now of the successful transition.
They were questioned at first, and now they're not even questioned because they've gotten some kind of awards, and it's just so wild.
Well, like especially I was like looking back at like Lady Gaga's filmography, and her like first two movies were like Robert Rodriguez sequels, like Machete Kills and the Sin City Dame to Kill
American
For,
Horror
and then,
Story.
And then it's like suddenly Oscar nominations, and plus like it being A Star Is Born, which like the last time that was made, there was another singer. Yep. So it's like. I don't know. It's like I guess that's a good movie for making that transition. I guess
it's like basically they gotta be of a music type, I guess, in order to do it, because they know how to walk and talk.
Yeah,
but it is kind of wild too, because you're just like, and half the time when you even see these Razzie nominations, you don't know how much of it is I just don't like that person as a persona. Like Drake, for God's sakes, was an actor before he became a rapper here.
Yes. And they, I mean, like in the Razzies, like, I don't know, like, starting off, like, I think the first one, they were nominating The Shining for Worst Picture. So it's like always a little questionable with some of their choices.
Yeah, we pretty much destroyed them a few episodes ago. It's like,
nice.
Angelina Jolie and Stallone were not awful in all those movies. Yes, some of those guys, like in Star Wars or Twilight, were awful, but you kind of knew that going in too. So, I mean, then they do just the kind of chicken shit ones. Like, this is the first time I've heard anyone say they were awful in that. Why was Charlize Theron awful in A Million Ways to Die in the West? Why was Kiefer Sutherland awful as the bad guy in Pompeii, disaster movie? I'm like, I'd say they were probably the best part, you could argue. So
definitely, it's like sometimes I feel like it's like a high profile actor in a bad movie, and it's like, well,
randomly saw
by association.
And he said he saw like Brian De Palma making a movie, and he's like, whatever he's doing, he's not doing it the right way. I'm like, well, what do you know? You're not a filmmaker. I mean, yes, and that goes back to even just how many you can't base quantity and mistake it with quality. There's plenty of people who are great actors but do awful movies. So I mean, I look at freaking Rihanna. I think she's very intriguing as a pop artist and as an actress, but she hasn't always, like, aside from Bates Motel, that final season where she's playing Janet Leigh's signature role, she hasn't really had an opportunity to kind of display that. But I think just kind of the best is kind of just lying around the corner.
Yes. Well,
he's got
and then I don't actually one that the kind of finding the right part and role. Have you seen Licorice Pizza?
Yeah, the John,
Like,
that gal.
yeah, Alana Haim from, or I think that's how she pronounces her name, but from the
Yeah,
band Haim, and it's her very first role, and like got lots of attention, and I'm sure will end up getting other film roles as a result.
I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I did want to kind of use that to segue because Tom Waits is also in that movie.
Yeah, it's like you kind of got to just be under the radar, just be to where like no one really even questions you anymore.
Yes, I mean he's got like a great kind of like, his film career. It's always just been like kind of character roles, and he does them great, like Renfield in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and like his mad scientist in Mystery Men and The Inventor. And
he almost made me cry when I was watching Seven Psychopaths. And that's a dark action crime comedy with an all-star cast, and like you just forget that you for that split moment I stopped seeing Tom Waits, the singer who talks and mumbles and has done artistic license to the T. And I was like, yeah, but he didn't just play Tom Waits anymore. It's like,
well, that's like
that came from a real place, whatever it was.
Yeah. When he was like in Ballad of Buster Scruggs not too long ago, and like as I was watching it, I was like, who is this guy? And then like I looked up and it's like, oh, it was Tom Waits. He's looking a lot older, and
would have guessed.
Yeah. Disappear into the role.
Someone had to do it. And it's even wilder just what even actors I've seen play real life music artists. Like the only time David Carradine got any critical merit was when he did a movie about a country singer. I forget the name, so long ago, but it's like sometimes that's kind of what you got to do. Like Rami Malek, totally ignored. Then he plays Freddie Mercury, and it's like it doesn't matter that everyone either did or didn't like the movie. Everyone agreed, yeah, he was the perfect guy to play Freddie Mercury. Yep. He just had that artistic kind of detail, and
it's kind of like unfortunate for like good performance in a not great movie. And
it's unfortunately does get to that. I mean, I look at DMX. I should like those rap and kung fu movies he's in. I really don't, but he really is really good in those. And I'm just what a shame that he couldn't get his act together, and he ended up just kind of just starring in just garbage, B movies and faith films. You're just like, oh, but he deserved at least some consideration to do this or that.
Well, that like in similar like 50 Cent, like I mean, Get Rich or Die Trying wasn't like a great movie, but I'd say his performance was good. But then he went on to just mostly like B-movie action, whereas Eminem made pretty much the same
with
movie
Val Kilmer and Bruce Willis, and now I see Power, a show that he produces, and is like that's 50 Cent probably his most powerful. He's just comfortable. Yeah. He's able to work with the writers heavily, and just that's kind of what you got to do. You just got to you got to find people who can stroke your ego, but also just find where you actually do work on screen as an actor, instead of let's just work with all these people and then we find out after the fact, oh, it was a shit show, no one got along, everyone was late to set, everyone was high.
Yeah.
Last minute replacement for Val Kilmer, Wesley Snipes, Nick Cage. That was next up. Okay.
And I was like, I think another kind of like character type actor, Dwight Yoakam. Like
that's so true. You forget, like he's one of the Homeland invaders who gets it.
And like the creepy like stepdad or whatever in Sling Blade.
And Billy Van Thornton, we forget, like he does some music, and like that's probably where he met him, and just on the music scene. He said, hey.
And he's like someone who it's like at the right part in his career, he probably could have taken like leading man roles, but he's always played these little more offbeat parts that add a lot. And then like I never watched a movie and I'm like taken out of it because there's Dwight Yoakam and that's all I see him as. It's like he just kind of disappears into these parts,
right? just leave some room for thought in that here's what you can do when everyone's just really getting along and got their eyes on the prize. And just like I was just intrigued by actors who like Kevin Bacon and other people who do music on the side, is like I was even more impressed with how they can decide that they you look at these Madonnas and the Prince, and it's like Prince was pretty much just doing a feature-length music video. Madonna kind of started off doing stuff where she did the soundtrack for, and then kind of would show up in movies where she was like a supporting role, and it's like, well, okay, interesting. And I think she kind of just became a joke again when everyone saw Die Another Day and Swept Away in the same year.
Yeah.
It's just like just too much negative spotlight attention. Is like, still listening to your music. I don't know what you guys were doing on that movie.
Yes. It's like, yeah, I mean, she had like several years with like A League of Their Own, and leading up to like Evita, where she was having some good roles, or she was having some big roles, and
kind of like when you're getting used to how many people are models, but you don't know if they're good actors or not. You're just like, I like the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like Fair Game with Cindy Crawford. Like, I guess that's why there's not a lot of Cindy Crawford movies.
There you go. Is it like Rebecca Remijan, where it's not half bad for what it is, but is it great? You leave it to the judge. It kind of just depends on the movie,
Yes. I don't know. I've got like a kind of dark horse thought, like, because he hasn't done a lot of acting, but David Johansen of the New York Dolls, who's like also Buster Poindexter, he was the ghost of Christmas Past in Scrooged.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I don't know, that part, like, and like not too long after that, he was like the lead in Car 54, Where Are You?, which was a terrible movie. And like, I think at that point, Hollywood's fascination with David Johansen seemed to quickly end. But like, his part in Scrooge is like, so perfect, is that like weird cabbie ghost. And
kind of like
it's
Simmons.
just,
he works in Extract, but he's been in just so many other movies as a bad guy or a biker, and you're like, just stop.
Yes.
Stop talking.
Like, good in a small dose, but not I don't want to watch 90 minutes of this.
Oh yeah, I looked at I went through all of that TV show Millennium recently. You still can only get it on DVD, and it was one of those where it was just like, just so hysterical what they did with just the Kiss appearing on that one episode, and even the behind the scenes of how they made that. It was like, that was just, it worked. It was, everyone was in on the joke and on a movie within a movie episode, and yet there's other times where it's like they were in on the joke, but it's just too fucking stupid for its own good.
Like Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
Oh yeah. And see, everyone's like, why would anyone want to buy that? I'm like, you'd be surprised what movies will sell, because part of it is kind of reliving just how stupid it was and having a laugh over a bunch of drinks. It's hard to explain to some people, unfortunately.
Yes.
I was like, of course it's a collector's item. It's a weird ass movie.
Yes. I'll say this, even though like I'm sure this will air after the auction ends. I've actually got a copy of that up on eBay right now. I don't know. It's not like a VHS copy that I've had since I was like 17.
Go for it. Knock yourself out.
All right. So yeah, go search now. And actually, I saw someone, not in concert, and he doesn't really do music anymore, but he's like one of my, I don't know, like favorite people ever. Henry Rollins from like Black Flag and the Rollins Band.
Yeah, I would see people hate on him, and I was like, I don't really have a problem with him. He's weird and very bizarre, but it's kind of what he is.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's pretty much done with music now, and he mostly just does like touring with his spoken word stuff. But like a couple of years back, he had a movie called He Never Died.
Yeah,
was I really liked that, and it was just kind of out of nowhere, bizarre movie.
I think it's still on Netflix, actually.
Oh, really? Because I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's like you could see like Nicolas Cage being the lead in that or something, and instead it's Henry Rollins, who's as far as I know, I think that's his only leading role. He's had a lot of smaller parts and stuff, like Heat, The Chase and stuff, but that one, I mean, I'm a fan, but it I think it would have caught my attention even if I didn't care who it was. I don't know if Danzig was the star, I'm not sure if it would have worked as well or something.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good question. Would you go the extra mile?
I mean, they'd have to get a lot of like Apple boxes from to stand on it.
Right.
For any movies. Yes.
And not every actor, just because they want to do it, doesn't necessarily mean they're good at it. Just ask William Shatner.
Yes.
It is just kind of interesting to just see. Sometimes they just go for it. It's like their first few albums were trash, like, and then I don't know what it was, drugs or reawakening or whatever, and they just do a totally different kind of movie. You're like, whoa, okay, interesting.
Yeah. There's actually someone, an actor or a director that I don't know. It's going to be a tangent. I'll stop there. You can cut that.
I mean, just kind of like there's many people trying to do like these video on demand horror movies or bizarre VOD action films, and you're just stop. I know you're going to do this for the next 5 years because you got contacts and everything. There's a lot of actors I love who are in kind of a movie with someone, and I'm like, I just saw this guy's so sneaky, he changed his name. I'm like, well,
wow.
Still going to do the same kind of movies if I know anything about it. I don't know that he's improved necessarily as a filmmaker.
Yeah, well, that's like, I don't know.
Or he might improve.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be associated with that crap.
Like, it makes me think, like, people are talking about, like, people being canceled and will never work again. It's like, I'm sure that whoever makes the movies that where, Goldberg or whoever, like, whatever those direct to Redbox movies, they're going to jump at the chance to have Kevin Spacey be the villain in their movie. And,
oh yeah, Tom Sizemore, some other guy who's kind of infamous.
Yeah, and like, I mean, might not be A-list anymore, but I think very few careers are actually over as a result of things.
And everyone's so surprised when half the time everyone's just like, they kind of just take it all with a grain of salt. They've seen kind of everything, whether someone was, didn't know their lines and was drunk. Like, Bruce still is going to have like 20 more movies come out, even though he's retired. So
yes, yeah.
So that works in their detriment, and at the same time, there's still going to be people like me who's like, well, I'll just see it just because I am a fan. I want to see if he got better.
No, it's like I wanted to go back and revisit, like, try and figure out kind of like pinpoint, like, maybe like the last really good Bruce Willis movie.
It was really hard because like I really enjoyed like the first few ones he did, like Marauders and Precious Cargo, and then there were just other ones where he's in outer space, and some people like those just because they seem to be more self-aware, and I just like I couldn't get through it just because it just looked like a student film.
Yeah,
a bunch of video game cinematics, but there was no real story, and it was too self-indulgent to care what was going on unless you had worked on the movie or just, I don't know, just liked weird stuff. It's just like,
yeah.
And the other ones, like Vice was just bad, not to be confused with the Dick Cheney movie, just because it was like a sci-fi Westworld kind of movie, and he just did not look like he wanted to be there. He just looked very angry. It's hard. It really is, because you just don't know. Unless you talk to someone who worked on some of those productions, you really don't know if it was a shit show or not. And
yeah,
it's also just kind of annoying because like you hear all these other stories about music artists, but you don't know if it was just because they left a certain record label and the producer was bitter and tried to blacklist them or what.
Yeah, because I mean, like, yeah, like, you look at someone like Kesha, who was like probably had like kind of like a 5-year dry spell because she was being like blacklisted by her producer or label or something.
And it's like, wow,
yeah,
okay.
We'll return after these messages. Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials and our outdated opinions. Join us every Tuesday as we discuss movies, TV, games, and even music, new and old.
Dude, what do you think you're doing?
Are you seriously trying to record a promo without us right now?
Well, yeah?
Dude, you can't just do the promo by yourself. Who's gonna listen to that?
Yeah, and you probably haven't even told them that we're a pop culture podcast where we always agree on everything. For instance, the Sam Raimi trilogy, easily being the best of the Spider-Man movies.
No. But I think we can all agree that Jaws is a classical masterpiece.
Nope, don't like that. But we do all agree that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is the best in the Skywalker saga, right, guys?
That comment is so ridiculous. I don't even know where to begin.
Anyways, that'll do it from all of us here at Culture Shock. Thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR. We add them to our queues. We wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US. We are in the UK. We are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Just kind of like pigeonholed into these kinds of movies.
Look, I think I had like a last minute addition to my list because it's not really a film role, but
oh, good.
Like Tom Petty, who like he really, I was looking over like movies. He was in The Postman with Kevin Costner, which is,
really?
It's super impressive. But for like the last 5 years of King of the Hill, he was like Luann's husband, Lucky.
Oh, that's wild.
And he was like a really solid addition. Like, I mean, he's got a distinctive voice, and it worked really well for animation. And like he.
David Grohl kind of did the same thing, and he was doing it before anyone even realized he was acting.
Yeah, he was someone I was like thought about for my list too, because like I haven't seen that new what's the horror movie that he's done recently.
Neither yet, but I heard some good stuff. It somehow worked for whatever reason.
And like I loved him as the devil in Tenacious D and The Pick of Destiny.
Yes, that's another one. Like Jack Black was just do a music tour and then do some acting and some of the guys he gets in some of those movies is like they're just cool personas, so somehow that just kind of works.
Yeah,
it was just like they just have zero range and just look like they just threw a fit with the director because they didn't want to be told what to do. They wanted to just be them. And it's funnier even when you see just other people who is like, again, it's like investors were a big thing before they really are a big thing now, where it's just like, you're big in Japan, so we gotta just do a random movie with you just being a biker or
Yeah, we'll get someone in for a day of shooting and put them all over the posters and stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. I think any other big like standouts you're thinking about, or favorite choices?
Well, so I guess you might like this one guy who is just Treach. He's a rapper.
Oh yeah,
Kind of
like
hot for a minute. Yeah, he started.
Like he wasn't he Blade in the Blade TV series?
No. Well, fair enough. That was Sticky Fingers, and
it was Sticky Fingers.
I really dug Sticky Fingers just because I liked Oinks, and his collaborations with DMX. But I mean, I actually did kind of see him as an actor, so I saw him in a few zombie movies. I saw him on Steven Bochco used him for a while, so I'd see him guest star in his kinds of shows. Even Friedrich Strauer, who had been part of Oinks, was in movies like Dead Presidents and some of those other hood movies. So I was like, not bad at all. It's different from, say, Busta Rhymes, who, aside from John Singleton's Higher Learning, pretty much always just plays Busta Rhymes, man.
Yeah.
It worked in Narc because we just needed a guy who was just going to say the F word in every sentence, say, yo, man, what the fuck? What are you doing? And then the rest of the time is like you get kind of like Halloween Resurrection, where you're just like, what the heck?
Oh, yeah. Like,
it's like
fighting Michael Myers, yes.
Yeah, so Treach basically starred in all these movies that would have basically starred Cuba Gooding Jr. or Wesley Snipes. They were kind of like The Art of War. He even starred in one of them, like the sequels to them. The other ones were just, again, spy action movies. It's like, you know what? He's not bad. He could be better. I've seen him be better even on TV guest spots like New York Undercover and The Player, also coincidentally with Wesley Snipes. But other than that, he's just kind of just always going to be known as the guy from Naughty by Nature, and he starred in a few Seagal movies. So it's like whatever rapper's next on the...
I remember I saw him in Feast. I had to look it up.
Yeah, and I keep forgetting he's in that, and he kind of does have a funny scene in that. It's like,
yeah, which
hate us.
Look up, Henry Rollins was also in Feast. So
yeah, so there you go. It's just like kind of just get guys who are just kind of part of the LA music scene, would love to do.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the main star, and they kind of prefer it, I guess, because they don't have to carry the movie.
Yeah, and it's like if you're not on tour and you've got some downtime, and it's like someone's like, hey, do you want to come shoot for a couple days or a couple weeks and make some money? And it's like probably like, yeah, okay, sure.
I'll do a movie with whoever, whether it's Val Kilmer or Lou Diamond Phillips. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, I think overall that just like everyone kind of just gets along with each other, and it's just why it works.
Yeah. It's like, and I guess it's probably like, sort of like once you've worked with people and you start to build up that chemistry and stuff like that. And similar, like musicians have similar things, like, you're touring together or you're playing together in a band, and, it makes sense maybe to do scenes together. Like I was thinking like Anthony Kiedis and Flea in Point Break.
Yeah.
But it's like Flea is also shown. He's like in a couple of the Back to the Future movies.
Lebowski. He's the guy who gets hit with the bowling ball.
And he was it No Nose Ned in Baby Driver?
That and Wild Thornberries, and I did not know what dirtbags they were behind the scene, but yeah, just for whatever reason their persona just kind of worked. So you could totally see them playing bikers or whatever, or punks, or just be an in-movie rock band. And it's funny even seeing how sometimes that's the only credit of a music singer is just the brief just cameo as a band in the background.
Yeah.
Guitarist. So that's how I got my SAG card. And there's this one guy he's like now a pastor, but he was known for doing all these independent and just stupid, so bad they're good, like trauma movies. David Heavener, and basically he decided to do his own kung fu movies and just action movies, and they're not good. But that's kind of the fun. Is just he thought he was the shit, and he would even have promos for his other movies at the start of the movie, as well as a music video. And you're like, you're kidding. Where'd you get all this money? It's just so funny how he keeps being rediscovered. And it's like, he's not good, but you kind of got to admire. He thinks he's the shit. And I've tried to interview him a few times on Facebook, and he kind of keeps blowing me off. He does not want to be known about what he's best known for. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about your role as a pastor. I want to talk about your crazy ass movies you made in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, you gotta like go with like a couple questions like about whatever their new project is, and then like go heavy into the old stuff, and like you warm them up and butter them up with the promotion, and then get to go deep on what you want to talk about.
What were you thinking?
Oh, and I guess another one, like I'd never really thought about as being a very good actor until recently, but Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, Selena Gomez. There you go.
Yeah, she was so good in that. And it's like,
I think she just kept reinventing herself as a music artist. And when she started out, she was still, again, just a Disney kid along with Demi Lovato. And it was just one of those like, okay, so that's just where it is.
Which, I mean, it's like, he wasn't exactly, I wouldn't call him a musician, but like Ryan Gosling is sort of a similar.
Yeah, the Kids Incorporated argument is definitely an interesting thing. And then, I mean, Eric Bolfer was on that show, and he has an LA band, but he's not known for that. He's known for being a TV actor. So it is interesting how you can pretty much just channel whatever you need when you need it.
Yes, definitely.
So wild. Because who would have thought it?
Yeah. And actually, another kind of big name that is had on my list, but Bette Midler, she was a singer, and then with The Rose, like got an Academy Award for her like film debut, and then from then on was kind of could do either. She'd make movies that didn't have anything to do with music, and kept on making music. And I'm sure, like, I think is Hocus Pocus 2 finally in the works. Like, I'll probably check that out when it gets made.
Why not? But it is all just kind of just fascinating to just see like how everyone kind of evolves. Like Selena was just interesting because this is like she even did some modeling, she did some she has like a cooking show on Max. So it's like, I think at that point, I mean, it's kind of like what Jamie Foxx is doing. He'll do like maybe 2 good movies a year, and then just be in all these other duds or movies where he's good, but you forget he's in because the movie just sucked. And then now he's doing like a music reality show that's not American Idol, but kind of the same kind of formula. It's like, and it's what people are watching if they're not watching lip sync battle or Masked Singer. So it's like basically at that point, yeah, it's just like you got to just hustle. It's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do my best every time, whether I'm a comedian hosting a variety show or I'm a radical batshit crazy celebrity who's now got their own talk show. This is why I killed all my contracts in Hollywood. There's even been adult film stars who I know who have actually contributed like vocals. Like I think Tara Patrick and Tracy Lords were some of them. And you're like, that's them. I had no idea. Okay. Wow. On that electronic music track, that's them. They knew someone, and someone clearly watched a lot of their work, so to speak. And there they are. And sometimes they'd even just appear on the music like album cover, and you're like, oh, that's why they look so good. You know who you are if you know who they are.
Is it like the Blink 182?
Yes, that's exactly. Totally. Yeah. Oh man, you want to bring up Fred Durst has tried acting, and then I think he kind of gave it up, and now he's directing, and everyone's like, please stop directing. I know you're a nice guy, but it's not meant for this.
Yeah, it just never, nothing he does ever seems to be very good.
It's just so weird because you see him hanging out with other celebrities, and they're like, "Hey, this cool guy is like, about his work." Well, people have had to be more strategic whenever they get asked about someone's work, or other times they won't even ask him. It's like, "So what are you doing next?" Oh my God, what can we expect? Don't encourage him.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, and I mean, I think, there's more of a story for why she didn't have a bigger career, but I mean, Courtney Love, like, had that kind of like,
she's in this
People
weird...
versus Larry Flint, and then Man on the Moon, like 2 Milos Forman films.
There's
and
this
then,
weird indie she does called Beat that has like Ron Livingston, Kiefer Sutherland playing William S. Burroughs, and I forgot what she was playing, but it was a real life person. It was one of those, is like, it also unfortunately just kind of just has that kind of, it's one of those where you're just like, okay, well, you might be a crappy person who may or may not have killed Cobain, but yeah, there's no denying you have kind of just you're able to pace yourself and be a good enough actress. So it's a weird predicament when you're having to kind of compliment someone who's kind of shady.
Yeah.
Just say, okay, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just saying they're not half bad. I could see them being in a movie, and that's quite all right. But then there are other ones where it's like, well, whatever it is, it just kind of writes itself.
And recently about, like, I'm about to start teaching Hidden Figures to middle school students.
Oh, nice.
And so there's like Janelle Monáe from
She's
in that.
So cute. So cute.
And it's funny, like, because a friend went to see a band that we both really like, of Montreal, play in another town, and he was like, "Oh, but the opening act was this woman named Janelle Monáe, and she was just amazing." I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And then, like, a month later, she's like the biggest thing ever, everywhere. And it's like, wow.
She was like in this infamous like horror movie that was like within like the last year that was like trying to be like Get Out, but it wasn't very successful. But it was so weird.
Was Annabellum, was that? Yeah, I saw that.
Was it okay, or?
It was okay. It was, yeah. I mean, definitely, it was like trying to be like Get Out. Would be a good.
I saw most people just they were just complaining that I guess it just felt too much like a music video because it's like it was a music video artist. I would give that a chance, any movie, but it's so funny. Every reviewer I've heard it was kind of bearing on it because they're like, well, it works as a, it just feels like she was good in Hidden Figures, but she wasn't good in this. I was like, well, how much can you? Again, sometimes I try to take acting with a grain of salt because sometimes it really is just even the good actors are going to give a bad performance.
Yeah. And she's going to be like in the Knives Out sequel, which I'm still hoping will have a better name than Knives Out 2. It's like,
yeah, it's like, could pick a better one. Funny how it works.
Yeah.
It's sometimes even just funny just seeing other people who are also very they're also comedians in addition to that, and he's like, I would have had no idea. Okay.
Yeah. I think other good.
I think we've summed up a lot of big
we've named everyone who's ever gone from
I take it back. There's this one guy, he was in the 4th Rambo, and he was in some of the Matthew Marsden. It was like, okay, I had no idea he was like a music artist.
Really?
Something. And then
I'm gonna look him up. So.
All good.
Don't recognize him off the top of my head. But he is a singer. Okay.
Even Luke Goss, of all people, bad guy in Blade 2 and
oh yeah,
freaking Hellboy 2. He was in a boy band in Britain, and they even did a documentary on it recently. It's like, that's wild, because I know he has this guy who does like martial arts and all these Taken, Man on Fire type movies with the Raza.
Wow.
There's another one. It was like I would see people say, Raza, not that bad. And then I'd see other people, oh, Raza, he's a shit actor. He's bland. I'm like, really? I don't think he's that bad considering most of the time he's pretty much just being a guy who's a martial artist and doing kung fu tributes. So it's like, yeah, he had a cameo in Ghost Dog because he did the soundtrack.
Yes.
His other movies is like, yeah, I'm not surprised he had a sequel to The Man with the Iron Fists and all these other movies. It's like he's kind of just. I hear he's a cool guy, so I'm pretty much is like I kind of just like sticky fingers. He just goes with the flow. He's like, I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna. If it doesn't work, it's more often just the movie just was too cheaply shot.
I just forgot that he was in Nobody with Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah,
I just saw that recently.
And those are exactly the kind of people who are fans of it. It's just the martial arts world loves them, and so it's like let's use them in their movies. And I mean, Common, for God's sakes, he was in Street Kings and John Wick too. So he's
yes.
And I see other people didn't like him, and like he didn't really have much to do in American Gangster or Hunter Killer with Gerard Butler. He's just kind of delivering his lines on time. But I think he's a nice guy, and I think he's kind of just shown more on TV, like with he was on that Western show Hell on Wheels.
Oh yeah. Boy, I didn't watch very much of that, but yeah.
It was on Netflix for a while. I don't know where you could stream it now. Let me look up. Where can you stream Hell on Wheels? Besides 1, 2, 3 movies. Bootlegged, baby. Hell on Wheels is on. I'm sure it's on the AMC app, but where else?
Yeah, but who's using that?
Right. Unless you're using Shudder, you're not using that. So
yes.
Okay, well, yeah, you can just buy it off Prime Video. I'm not doing that.
All right.
Find another way. It is funny though how we're now even getting to the physical versus digital, and I it's like music artists. I don't know what you take. It's like basically if you just want it all. Is like then resell it as a collector's item. Basically, you buy it the day of with the vinyl or the music with a Blu-ray or DVD concert.
Yes, there's I saw a Australian special edition of Miami Connection that kind of tempted by, and it's like because it comes with like the album and
it's $20 less
Dragon Sound and a shirt and stuff, and it's like, do I need this? But it could also be fun.
I had to do that with some of the Shout Factory Blu-rays. Like they cost less because they were no longer with the poster or the out of print other stuff for the nostalgia crowd, and it's like, yeah, that's fine.
yeah it's like, yeah, it depends. Like usually it's like if I can find a cheaper version rather than the $150 version or whatever, I'm going to go for the cheap version.
Totally. It's tough to even explain to people in some cases. They're just like, oh, I'm physical. No, only get it if it's streaming on Spotify. It's like, you win either way.
Yeah.
You don't have to do just one format. There are many Kino Lorber Blu-rays I will pay nickel and dime for, and there's others like, no, I can't justify it this month. I'm just gonna have to go wherever it's streaming.
Yeah. Well, and it's so like sometimes I'll have it like an awesome Blu-ray, but it's like, oh, I got to go over and get it off the shelf, or I can just stream it on Disney Plus or whatever, and so it's like, well, it's what I'm gonna do because I'm lazy, or I want to watch it on my phone.
I hate that argument too. It's like some movies I'm gonna watch on my Spectrum internet on my phone. That's just what I have available at work. And there's others like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it on Netflix. And then there's others like, no, I'm gonna watch it on my big screen TV. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's just whatever I have available. I'm more objective looking at how the story is flowing and marathoning it.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just revisiting it. It's like, it looks great in HD, or oh, they did a terrible remaster job.
Yes, which is always disappointing. When that happens, but
it's just a bizarre DVD edit.
decided to tint the movie kind of greenish for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a delight. Just kind of going through just people who we can kind of respect versus ones who are just like, I can kind of see what they didn't work out for them. Just no one was on the same page.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we came up with a pretty good list of.
Tried to. Not easy.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, thank you for being on here. And where can we find you on the internet?
I have a website, livelocalman.com, that I very rarely update, but I've got a lot of writing about movies and music on there that you can go through the archives, and it's all timeless.
Oh, there. Nice. Excellent. Be sure to link it to me, and I will share it with the world.
All right. I'll get it to you.
Hey, perfect. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you very much.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a